ExamPrep.School. Alaska Insurance Adjuster Exam, exam code InsAK-Adj14 or OPAdj14. There are 4 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Alaska laws, rules, and regulations pertaining to adjusters. General insurance terms and concepts. Types of insurance policies and coverages. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. In liability insurance policies, how is an occurrence distinguished from an accident? A. An occurrence means intentional acts, whereas accidents are unintentional. B. An occurrence is limited to property damage, while an accident only applies to bodily injury losses. C. An accident arises after policy inception, whereas an occurrence may occur before coverage starts. D. An accident is a sudden, fortuitous event. An occurrence includes accidents and continuous or repeated exposures leading to injury. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is D. The correct definition of occurrence in most liability policies includes both sudden accidents and continuous or repeated exposure to harmful conditions, while an accident alone refers to a discrete, fortuitous event. Reason A is not correct. It mischaracterizes occurrence as intentional conduct, although policies exclude intentional acts. Reason B is not correct. It incorrectly restricts occurrence to property damage and accident to bodily injury, which contradicts policy language. Reason C is not correct. It introduces unrelated timing distinctions not found in standard definitions. Question 2. Which definition best describes proximate cause in liability and property claims? A. An unforeseeable event that interrupts the causal chain between an act and resulting injury. B. An initial act or event that sets in motion a natural, unbroken sequence of events leading directly to loss. C. The most probable cause selected among the competing explanations for a loss. D. A judicially determined cause requiring proof of intentional wrongdoing. The correct answer is B. Proximate cause is the act or event that naturally and directly produces the loss without intervention, satisfying foreseeable causation principles in insurance law. Reason A is not correct. Describes an intervening cause rather than proximate cause, which must be unbroken. Reason C is not correct. Focuses on probability comparisons, not on the direct causal sequence required by proximate cause. Reason D is not correct. Incorrectly ties proximate cause to intentional acts, whereas it addresses natural causation without intent. Question 3. Which sequence correctly lists the 4 traditional elements of negligence in order? A. Duty, breach, damages, causation. B. Duty, breach, causation, damages. C. Breach, duty, causation, damages. D. Duty, causation, breach, damages. The correct answer is B. The classic negligence framework requires establishing a legal duty, demonstrating breach of that duty, proving causation between the breach and harm, and showing actual damages. Reason A is not correct. Incorrectly swaps the order of causation and damages, though causation must precede damages. Reason C is not correct. Reverses duty and breach, but duty must exist before any breach. Reason D is not correct. Places causation before breach, which contradicts the required sequence. Question 4. Laura has signed a contract to purchase a seaside cottage next month, but insures it immediately. 2 weeks later, a storm causes $40,000 in damage. Under the principle of indemnity and insurable interest requirements, the insurer should A. Deny the claim for lack of insurable interest at the time of loss. B. Pay the actual cash value of $40,000 since indemnity limits the payment to the loss amount. C. Pay $40,000 on a replacement cost basis since a purchase contract is in place. D. Pay the agreed-upon value of $45,000 stated in the policy. The correct answer is A. The principle of indemnity and insurable interest requires the insured to have a financial stake in the property at the time of loss. Since the purchase had not closed, no insurable interest existed, and coverage is denied. Reason B is not correct. Actual cash value payment assumes insurable interest was present at loss, which is not the case here. Reason C is not correct. Replacement cost coverage cannot apply when the insured lacked a valid insurable interest at the time of loss. Reason D is not correct. Agreed value applies only when a valid insurable interest exists. Without interest, no payment is made. Question 5. Considering the insurer's subrogation rights and statutory deadlines, what is the most appropriate action? A. Delay legal action until all claim reserves are closed, then initiate a recovery suit. B. Promptly send a demand letter to the trucker's insurer to preserve subrogation rights before the statute expires. C. Wait to determine if salvage from the damaged warehouse offsets claim costs before notifying the third party. D. Attempt to negotiate a tolling agreement with the trucker's insurer to extend the limitations period. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is to send a demand letter immediately, which preserves subrogation rights and ensures legal action can proceed before the statute of limitations expires. Reason A is not correct. Waiting until reserves are closed risks missing the limitations period and forfeiting subrogation rights. Reason C is not correct. Deferring notification for salvage evaluation does not protect subrogation rights or satisfy statutory timeframes. Reason D is not correct. Relying on a tolling agreement is uncertain and may not be secured, risking the loss of subrogation rights if no agreement is reached. Question 6. Under a standard property insurance policy, the actual cash value ACV of damaged property is most accurately calculated by which method? A. Multiplying replacement cost by the ratio of remaining useful life to total useful life. B. Subtracting salvage value from replacement cost. C. Multiplying replacement cost by the ratio of actual age to useful life. D. Subtracting depreciation based on the ratio of current market value to replacement cost. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is calculated by applying straight-line depreciation to the replacement cost. Depreciation equals replacement cost times actual age divided by useful life. So ACV equals replacement cost times remaining useful life divided by total useful life. Reason B is not correct. Salvage value is accounted for after ACV is determined, not used as the sole basis for depreciation. Reason C is not correct. Multiplying replacement cost by age to life ratio yields only the depreciation amount, not the ACV itself. Reason D is not correct. Depreciation is based on age relative to useful life, not on the ratio of market value to replacement cost. Question 7. Within what time frame must an insured repair or replace damaged property to qualify for full replacement cost payment under a replacement cost loss settlement without deduction provision? A. By the end of the policy period in which the loss occurs. B. Within 180 days after the date of loss. C. Within 2 years after the date of loss. D. Within 1 year after the date of loss. The correct answer is C. The replacement cost without deduction provision requires the insured to complete repair or replacement within 2 years of the loss. Otherwise, the insurer limits payment to the actual cash value at the time of loss. Reason A is not correct. Completion by the policy period end is not the specified requirement for avoiding depreciation under the replacement cost provision. Reason B is not correct. A 180-day deadline is too short. Standard provisions extend to a longer period. Reason D is not correct. A 1-year limit is shorter than the 2-year time frame prescribed to qualify for full replacement cost. Question 8. Under the policy's functional replacement cost endorsement for partial losses, how much should the adjuster pay to settle the roof damage? Rounded to the nearest dollar. A. $960. B. $640. C. $1,600. D. $2,600. The correct answer is A. The functional replacement cost endorsement requires using the cost to repair with modern materials. 400 square feet multiplied by $4 SAC FT equals $1,600. Minus physical depreciation. 40% of $1,600 equals $640, resulting in $960. Reason B is not correct. This reflects actual cash value using the ACV depreciation rate rather than applying the functional depreciation. Reason C is not correct. This is the full replacement cost without any deduction for physical depreciation. Reason D is not correct. This uses the cost of cedar shakes even though the original material is unavailable, and policy requires modern equivalents. Question 9. A collector's classic automobile insured under a stated amount. Policy sustained hail damage. The insured obtained an agreed value endorsement 3 months ago based on a professional appraisal. The adjuster must decide whether to settle according to the stated amount, agreed value, or actual cash value, taking into account depreciation and market fluctuations. A. Pay the stated amount shown in the declarations, minus deductible, ignoring depreciation. B. Pay the lesser of the stated amount or the agreed value endorsement to mitigate overinsurance. C. Pay actual cash value to reflect current market replacement minus depreciation. D. Pay the agreed value from the endorsement without applying depreciation. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is to pay the agreed value endorsement without applying depreciation, because an agreed value endorsement fixes the loss valuation at the predetermined amount and supersedes both stated amount coverage and actual cash value calculations. Reason A is not correct. This is incorrect because the agreed value endorsement supersedes the stated amount, so depreciation must not be applied to the fixed agreed value. Reason B is not correct. This is incorrect because once an agreed value endorsement is established, the insurer must pay the full agreed amount rather than the lesser of two figures. Reason C is not correct. This is incorrect because actual cash value does not apply when an agreed value endorsement is in place, which prevents depreciation adjustments. Question 10. Under liability coverage, which of the following is correctly classified as a special damage rather than a general damage? A. Exemplary damages imposed to punish willful misconduct. B. Compensation awarded for emotional distress. C. Non-economic compensation for pain and suffering. D. Lost wages resulting directly from the insured's bodily injury. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is provable monetary losses, such as lost wages. Special damages compensate quantifiable economic losses, whereas general damages cover non-economic harm. Reason A is not correct. Punitive or exemplary damages are intended to punish wrongdoing and are separate from compensatory special damages. Reason B is not correct. Emotional distress compensation is a form of non-economic or general damages, not special damages. Reason C is not correct. Pain and suffering awards are classified as non-economic general damages. Question 11. Which of the following best describes the typical insurability of punitive damages under standard liability policies? A. They are routinely covered provided they form part of compensatory awards. B. They are generally excluded by standard liability policy terms. C. They are covered only when awarded for gross negligence. D. They become covered once the insured exhausts all policy limits. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is punitive damages are generally excluded by standard liability policies because punitive awards penalize the wrongdoer and are not meant to compensate losses. Reason A is not correct. Punitive damages are not compensatory losses. They are punitive and thus generally excluded. Reason C is not correct. Gross negligence does not make punitive damages coverage automatic under standard policies. Reason D is not correct. Exhausting policy limits does not extend coverage to punitive damages under standard terms. Question 12. A skier at an Alaska resort sustains injuries and claims $50,000 in medical and equipment replacement costs. An investigation finds the skier 20% negligent and the other party 80% negligent. Under Alaska's comparative negligence standards, how much can the skier recover from the other party's insurer? A. $40,000. B. $50,000. C. $30,000. D. $10,000. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is based on pure comparative negligence. The skier's recovery is reduced by 20%, so 80% of $50,000 equals $40,000. Reason B is not correct. This assumes no reduction for the skier's negligence, so recovery would incorrectly remain at the full amount claimed. Reason C is not correct. This applies a 40% reduction instead of the required 20%, yielding an incorrect reduced amount. Reason D is not correct. This reflects an 80% reduction rather than the proper 20% reduction for the skier's negligence. Question 13. In a multi-car collision in Alaska, driver X is 30% at fault, and driver Y is 70% at fault for $80,000 in damages. The claimant collects the full $80,000 from driver X's insurer. Under Alaska's joint and several liability allocation, how much can driver X's insurer recover from driver Y's insurer? A. $24,000. B. $80,000. C. $56,000. D. $30,000. The correct answer is C. Under joint and several liability, driver X's insurer may pay the full amount and then seek contribution equal to driver Y's 70% share of the total damages. 70% of $80,000 equals $56,000. Reason A is not correct. This reflects driver X's own 30% share instead of driver Y's 70% contribution obligation. Reason B is not correct. This incorrectly assumes driver Y must reimburse the entire award rather than just its proportionate share. Reason D is not correct. This miscalculates by using driver X's percentage of fault instead of driver Y's. Question 14. Which of the following is not considered an essential element that must appear in a reservation of rights letter? A. A statement reserving the insurer's rights pending investigation. B. A declaration of paid claim, benefits to date. C. An outline of the facts that could lead to coverage denial. D. A reference to the specific policy provisions under review. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is the declaration of paid claim benefits, which is not required in a reservation of rights letter. Reservation of rights letters focus on preserving coverage defenses and informing the insured of potential limitations, rather than detailing payments already made. Reason A is not correct. A statement reserving rights is fundamental to notify the insured that coverage defenses are being preserved. Reason C is not correct. Outlining the facts that could lead to denial ensures the insured understands why coverage might be disputed. Reason D is not correct. Referencing policy provisions is necessary to identify the contract terms under which coverage may be limited. Question 15. Which action is required to ensure a non-waiver agreement is valid and enforceable? A. Signature of the insurer only. B. Signature of the insured only. C. Signatures of both insured and insurer. D. Notarization by an independent third party. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is obtaining signatures from both the insured and the insurer. A non-waiver agreement must be mutually executed to demonstrate that both parties agree to preserve coverage defenses without implying waiver. Reason A is not correct. A signature from only the insurer fails to show mutual consent to preserve coverage defenses. Reason B is not correct. A signature from only the insured does not bind the insurer to the agreement. Reason D is not correct. Notarization is not required, although it may be used, it is not essential for enforceability. Question 16. On March 10th, an insured reported a windstorm claim to an adjuster, but the adjuster did not send any written response until March 28th. Under standard industry communication guidelines, what should the adjuster do now to comply with time limit requirements and maintain proper claim handling? A. Immediately mail a written acknowledgement of the claim receipt and include a revised timeline for completing the investigation. B. Continue the investigation and verbally inform the insured of expected completion when the report is ready. C. Prepare and send a reservation of rights letter that combines claim acknowledgement with policy coverage analysis. D. Notify the supervising adjuster and provide only a verbal update to the insured at this time. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is to promptly issue a written acknowledgement and a revised timeline, since industry standards require written acknowledgement within specified time limits to avoid unfair claims settlement practices. Reason B is not correct. Verbal updates alone do not satisfy the requirement for written acknowledgement within the time limit. Reason C is not correct. A reservation of rights letter is premature when the initial written acknowledgement is the first step under communication guidelines. Reason D is not correct. Notifying a supervisor and providing only a verbal update fails to meet the required written response timeframe. Question 17. Which of the following is required by an adjuster's fiduciary duty when handling claim settlement proceeds? A. Preserving the insured's deductible portion until the insurer authorizes dispersal. B. Investing claim reserves in interest-bearing accounts to offset administrative costs. C. Commingling insured and insurer funds in a trust to expedite timely indemnity to claimants. D. Retaining all claim-related funds in an insurer-established escrow account segregated from both personal and insurer general accounts. The correct answer is D. The fiduciary duty of an adjuster requires holding claim-related funds in a separate escrow account, preventing commingling with personal or general insurer funds until a proper dispersal. Reason A is not correct. An adjuster's fiduciary duty does not involve holding deductible funds. It focuses on safeguarding client and insurer monies in separate accounts. Reason B is not correct. Using claim reserves for investment purposes breaches fiduciary obligations by risking claimant or insurer funds. Reason C is not correct. Commingling funds violates fiduciary requirements, which mandate segregation of client and insurer monies. Question 18. A property adjuster assigned to evaluate a homeowner's water damage claim realizes the homeowner is a close business associate with whom the adjuster has negotiated contracts. Under Alaska's adjuster ethical duties and conflict of interest rules, what is the most appropriate action? A. Disclose the prior business relationship to the insurer and proceed with handling the claim after documentation. B. Continue managing the claim but note the relationship in file records without notifying others. C. Ask a colleague to review the estimate and report back before finalizing any payments. D. Decline the assignment and notify the insurer so a different adjuster can be appointed. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is to decline the assignment and notify the insurer so a different adjuster handles the claim. This action fully removes any potential bias arising from the close business relationship and complies with Alaska's requirement that adjusters avoid conflicts they cannot mitigate through disclosure alone. Reason A is not correct. Disclosure alone does not eliminate the risk of bias when a prior business relationship exists, so merely documenting and proceeding is insufficient. Reason B is not correct. Continuing without notifying the insurer fails to meet the ethical duty of transparency and may compromise impartiality. Reason C is not correct. Having a peer review the estimate may help catch errors but does not resolve the underlying conflict of interest. Question 19. Under AS21.27, if an applicant fails the Alaska Insurance Adjuster examination, how long must the applicant wait before reapplying to take the exam? A. 60 days. B. 30 days. C. 90 days. D. 120 days. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is 30 days because AS21.27 mandates a 1-month waiting period before retesting to ensure adequate additional preparation time. Reason A is not correct. A 60-day wait is not specified by the statute and exceeds the required 30-day interval. Reason C is not correct. A 90-day interval is not mandated by Alaska statute for exam retakes. Reason D is not correct. A 120-day waiting period is not required under AS21.27. Question 20. Under AS21.27, which of the following is required for a non-resident adjuster to obtain licensing reciprocity in Alaska? A. Completion of Alaska prelicensing education requirements. B. Proof of having maintained a permanent residence in the home state for at least 2 years. C. Completion of at least 3 years of claims adjusting experience in the home state. D. Submission of a certification of licensing status from the licensing authority of the applicant's home state. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is submission of a certification of licensing status because AS21.27 allows non-resident adjusters to waive Alaska prelicensing requirements by providing a certificate of good standing from their home state regulator. Reason A is not correct. Alaska prelicensing education is waived for non-resident applicants under reciprocity provisions. Reason B is not correct. Maintaining home state residence for 2 years is not required for non-resident reciprocity under Alaska law. Reason C is not correct. A specific duration of claims experience is not stipulated for non-resident adjuster reciprocity. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below, we read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.